Hey guys, StarCraft here, and been a while again. I think I'm just going to go to my own schedule these days doing these videos, but this one I really wanted to talk about. You guys all remember during my Frank Miller video a while back where I brought up about how Frankie Boy did the Dark Knight's Returns, Last Crusade, and the Dark Knight 3 Master Race, which during this he seemed to make it almost an apology for how he handled Superman. And not long afterwards, it was eventually announced around the creation of the Black Label, which gave us Batman Damned, The Last Night's Night on Earth. Check out Nerdette's review for it. That's why I'm not doing one. Retroactively, the Batman White Knight. I will get to that still. But also, Superman Year One. Yeah. And yep, obviously as you can tell, it's the same size as Batman Damned. And he's reunited with John Romita Jr. from their Daredevil Man Without Fear, as well as some of the stuff they did for Dark Knight Strikes Again. Not Strikes Again. Sorry, that one was crap. Batman and Dark Knight 3, The Master Race. And yeah, basically Frank felt like I want to tell a Superman origin. And yes, there's been a whole bunch of them. And is there anything new brought to this? Yes and no. And I know there's a lot of people who've had issues with this book, but I really like it. And if nothing else, it's better than what Bendis is doing. Light years better than Bendis. And this really shows that Frank has gone back in the swing of things, if you ask me. He's not as cynical as he once was, and he's no longer being driven by what happened on 9/11. He said to himself that when asked about Holy Terror, he openly admits, I'm not in the same place I do it. I don't hate what I did, but at the same time, I wouldn't be able to make that book now. And I think that speaks a lot. So, let's just dive right in, shall we? And first of all, that cover, I like it, but enjoy seeing the costume because that's all we're going to be seeing of it so far. As we open up with the destruction of Krypton. Of course we are. As we're basically seeing, now we're having a narration who we don't really know who it is who's talking. We really don't. And sorry about that. I don't think, and we probably won't for a while. But the narration is basically explaining everything. And yeah, basically Jor-El and Lara are trying to get Kal-El into a ship. And we're seeing everything from his point of view for the most part. As they're putting it in, saying goodbye. The hiss is heard as it's taken off into space. As the planet blows up around them. Then we see young Kal-El's reflection. Yeah, I actually like that. We see his reflection in the whole thing as he's freaking out. Then we see as he's just flying through everything, and the narration continues. And he comes down to Earth, and we start to see it from, again, first person perspective, re-entry until he crashes, and then all of a sudden we start to see the lights come on. He looks up, and he starts to push on it, and he opens it up, revealing he already has strength. And we then see Jonathan Kent is there. No Martha, it's just Jonathan that found him. And he looks down and, okay, one thing I will admit, a lot of the narration here is a bit, heavy-handed a little. But at the same time, no, I still like it. Frank's always had this going narrations all the time. And the only problem is, again, we don't know who it is. But for the most part, though, it's still good. And, well, Jonathan picks him up and looks him over. And the other thing is, I think it is probably the most blatant with the Jesus symbols of him wrapped up in cloth and everything. But for the most part, though, I still like how because it's what Lara did. I left him all wrapped up. Then he takes him home as we see Martha is there just, she's on the, she's just talking to, I guess, she's on the phone, I think. As all of a sudden, Jonathan comes in with the child and with the young baby he found. And Martha is completely surprised and bewildered. And they even say, like, who cares where he came from? He's going to, All that counts is where he's headed. As we then cut to sometime later, and it's safe to presume that they know about his abilities already, as they were making excuses, like when they finally take him into town. And like for example, he's lifting up, how Clark's able to lift up these heavy things despite his age, and they already have like lifting all those hay bales gives our Clark a right workout. Then they chase after him, and they're already acknowledging like it's even in the same county. So again, they're already aware of his abilities. But again, the two just really still love him and are taking good care of him still, even when he's jumping around. And again, they just continue on talking like it's nothing. I really do like that. Again, it just shows that they're just trying to teach him everything. And then we see him jumping off, and Jonathan chase after him. And Martha's just being like, I swear, one of these days he's just going to go up and never come down. Then all of a sudden, he's there at her feet like, you do get around, don't you, darling? Again, it's just so sweet. You really think like this, is this really Frank? And yes, it is. Then we see Martha's feeding Clark some food. It ends up being really hot, and basically, I guess, according to narration, his heat vision went off. Oh, so it's not puberty. That's actually a bit relieving after that's always been done to death lately. And he sets the curtains on fire. Then more time passes as he's having a dream where he believes he's flying, but all of a sudden he then wakes up far off, and he's like, how the heck am I going to get home? He didn't even know where he's at. But he eventually does make it home, I guess. And most of the nights he did stay in bed, and yeah, we're just having him listen in on everything, and he's trying to figure out control. And that's another thing I like about it, that Frank's have to be that he's all about keeping control. And yeah, you're having to be, he and Pa are playing catch. They're just messing around, and then Jonathan's even thinking like, boy, what an arm, but he seems to be getting stronger every day. And but then of course Clark going to get the ball, he flipped the trailer over. Nice one, Clark. Then it's time for high school, and yeah, basically they're just again just talk about stuff about his abilities, and he's just making it clear like he feels like he could fly like a bird, things like that. And Jonathan first thinks like your head's getting big. Yes, we're then starting to see just the science lab class, how they're basically putting on these helmets that help be like the astronauts. And then one of Clark's friends, Mickey, his head's so big it can't work, and everyone's making fun of him. But then Clark helps get it on by actually cracking the helmet to fit it on him. Of course, no one seems to notice that. As he does it, and Mickey seems to be a special, it seems like. Not made very clear, but it definitely is. And yeah, everyone's just looking at him, and then during lunch, yeah, you're seeing a bunch of them just all talking, just goofing around, and things like that. And we're introduced to Lana, although it seems to act like they have a history, even though it's like, we would just say he's my guy anyway. It's like, okay, what's going on here? Especially since that's like the case where like he doesn't even like he's the first time he's hearing her name. And yet everyone seems to assume already that Lana knows him. I don't really get that. Then he's meeting up with he has another friend. Did they even mention his name? No, they don't even mention him at the moment. But yeah, they're just he's chit-chatting with his gothic friend of theirs who stabs him with a pen and breaks it. And basically, they're even pointing out, like, nothing hurts you. What gives? Then the bell rings before they can ask any further questions as the one weirdo kid runs off. But points out, like, hey, what's going on here? Like, I could have sworn he stabbed you. It must have been a trick of the light. Things like, oh, Jeremy was who it was. And just things like, hey, he's got an edge. And then, again, he's hanging out with some of the other friends, and then you see some of the bullies, the ones that were mocking Mickey earlier and all that stuff, and basically he's just started wondering like what to do and all that, and all of a sudden it looks like Pete Ross, he's been bullied as his locker is open, and yeah, but they want to like they pick on him just because of who he is, and they realize that like all of his stuff is gone. His 2 days of schoolwork, there's no making up for it, and basically they try to help him out. Although we don't get much of Pete throughout all this, unfortunately. It's like they're not much of a history, but nice that Frank at least kept him in. And then Clark's trying to figure like I could do something about this. So he actually goes asks his parents like, do I talk to those bullies or do I just flatten them? And then Jonathan even says, first you talk to them, then you flatten them. To which Martha's like, not one more word, Pa. And basically he's trying to explain, they're trying to get the idea of you shouldn't be doing this, as these bullies just keep on harassing things more and more. And okay, here's where some case of the artwork looks a little wonky from Romita, but for the most part everything seems still fine, as scenes just continue on more and more until he just approaches the kids and basically saying like, hey, they never hurt any of you, so you better lay off of them. He means it. And they think like you're picking a fight. They grab him and then he sends one of them flying backwards. And then they also still trying to get in, and he basically stops them. And they try to claim, oh, Jonathan taught martial arts or some moves. Then they're in the principal's office, where typical but not unexpected. But in this case, though, it looks like the principal is actually the bully gets actually they actually point out like, you're pretty known to us, so you're getting 10-day suspension, and basically and Clark gets 10 days of sanitation, so he's still coming to school, but yeah. And they even bring up an Otis. Doesn't go much further than that, but then his parents kind of talk him over and basically tell him Martha's like, no one's really bad. Some people just get confused. And basically even John put like, you're confused and you turn around and you'll flatten his sorry butt. Just kidding. And I love this. Clark is reading Doc Savage. I love it because that's always been a connection with Superman. And anytime anyone has, they include that, it gets me smiling because so many people seem to forget that, it feels like. But then Jonathan just talks to him and then a bit more and says, you're no one's doormat, Clark. But, and you're something this old world's never seen before. And you're going to change it just by being here. So change it for the better. As Clark starts to think about it, and he's just like, I'm not born here. Now, as this is going on, he's starting to become a bit more and more cold and everything. But it turns out while he was gone, the other kids just started getting more and more emboldened by everything. And so they decided to go and harass his friends more and more. Until eventually they come on board and and he comes onto the bus and finds out, yeah, they got beat up pretty badly. Kept saying his name and that it's dangerous to be his friend. And basically, yeah, he's realized the consequences of his actions. He didn't realize it was this bad. And I like this. Basically, the case of showing like in the immediacy, it might seem like it's done. I did good, but in the long term, if you don't think it through, you don't think about the people you're dealing with, it could, like in this case, embolden them. Then Lana shows up and reveals that she took photos. Turns out she's been doing that before, and she's like, "This is getting serious. Someone could get killed." Come by her in her place, and turns out Jeremy overhears, and it looks like Jeremy is in on it with the other bullies. We find out, and then Clark then says he's going to head over to Lana's place. As we then see Lana. She thinks Clark's there, so she comes on down, but when she does, turns out she's being abducted by a bunch of the friends of the bully. I'm not going to go with any of their names because it's not important. Then it gets a little dark, as it looks like, yeah, they got the photos, but now they want to do stuff to her. Yikes. Really, Frank? Really? Well, anyway, Clark still shows up, tosses them around, and after this, they just, they never bother him again. But yeah, I love it. He just tosses him around and saves them. And yeah, people are like, they're like, what just hit us? Then Clark, he helps them out and shows them some moves. Everyone's still like, well, what's going on? But they're so distracted by the fact they're bleeding. They don't even see as Clark takes Lana into the air and reveals how they can fly. And Lana's just like, what the hell? in the only single page splash, I might add. And he takes them home, and basically they talk about how, yeah, he's going to always help people out, kind of like what she does, trying to get the justice like a reporter would. Interesting about Lana being a reporter, but some versions have done that. And yeah, of course they're saying, yeah, she's the one to point out, like, they won't stop talking. They'll just keep going on and on. And yeah, basically they're just talking. They're going to share their secret, but he won't be keeping secrets from her at all. Then they start to do some more studying, and they start to fall for each other a bit more and more. She's starting to crush on him. He's starting to crush on her, and she's starting to bring him back to being grounded again, being a bit more human. Throughout all this, we start to have these lovely moments. And again, this surprises me because Frank has always been about, why would Superman be with someone normal like Lois? Or in this case, Lana. Why not be with Wonder Woman who can take him? But in this case, he's going with all this. Now, this could be the fact that he's going to distill Clark. He hasn't become Superman yet. And who knows, maybe down the line, once he becomes Superman, he distances himself from Lana. Who knows? But all this stuff is just so lovely. I'm not going to go over all the dialogue, obviously, but again, he's just in love, and then he just starts, starts jumping around, and and then goes in the air, flying around. One person seems to see it, as they're just like, "Dang, that wasn't that Kent boy flying around, was it? That's a wacky tobacco." Then, Clark in this universe is on football, but he's had much more better control of everything. But then he decides to just once just let it all go, as he then just charges in and just, he actually wins everything, and he doesn't hold back. Now you see a moment of Jonathan looking stern, but nothing much comes of it. As then Lana comes up to him and kisses him on the cheek, and everyone's all like, "Yay!" Then you see, Clark is talking with Jonathan a bit more, and basically how he's giving him a helping hand, and he wants to look more at the ocean, like more of the water. He's been in the air enough and the ground enough. He wants to see the waters, so he's decided he wants to enlist in the Navy, and this is one of the first big changes Miller's finally bringing into this for reals. And yeah, why not? I mean, I'm curious on where this is going to go. We didn't see, Jonathan just talks it over with him, goes inside and tells and Martha, and then he tells Lana, and yeah, that's why they say the Lang residence afterglow. They've been very good all night long. You know what? With these two, they're already graduating from high school, and it isn't the first time that's ever been implied, so I actually don't mind that. And, well, basically, she's all for it. She's going to be there helping him every step. Not helping him, but, she says, go on, soldier boy. Then Clark's ready to leave. Everything's starting to be packed up as they're waiting for him. And then, Martha and Jonathan slip in a little something. It's the costume, obviously, as they head on off. And then we hear Clark, he's just listening, and he just hears Lana from so far away until eventually he can't hear him, but he can see her. And he just uses telescopic vision to keep on looking until he sees her on the rooftop. And basically she holds a sign that says, "I love you, and I'll miss you." And he just waves as he heads on there, and basically says, "I'll be writing you, I miss you already." As the drive just keeps on going, his mind just roams as he starts to think about Krypton dying, and all of a sudden some of the memories are starting to come to him. Soon then, they arrive at the Naval Academy, and basically says, "You're not in Kansas anymore." No shit. And, it's that's the first time any of us have ever heard that line. "You got a mouse on you, boy." As when they get there, they see a jet flying off, and then Clark's just looking on out there, feeling like new challenges away and new adventures, and Clark Kent is ready. Ending book 1. And this is just a great start if you ask me. Again, I mean, it doesn't feel like it deserves to be in the Black Label, but probably because it's more, they'd rather say Black Label is more of a spiritual successor to Elseworld, so that's probably why. But who knows what's going to come down in the next 2 issues. But for this, This feels like old Frank Miller's back. Again, there's some hokiness in this, but for the most part, it's very well written. The artwork, for the most part, I like John Romita Jr. I know he's not for everyone, but I really like his work. And it shows that Frank does understand Superman. He does understand Clark's character. And that's what's in a lot of this. It's character. He's already a good character. There's almost very little cynicism, that possible moment that almost happened to Lana notwithstanding. And yeah, this just feels so pure. This just feels like again, he just gets it, and it feels like he's truly is apologizing for what he's done before, and I just can't wait for what's coming next. So, as you probably saw in my tweet, I'm hopefully going to be getting into doing the Incredible Hulk Last Call. That was really good and a lot shorter than this book, so hopefully I'll get to that. And who knows what's going to happen next. That's all I got to say. You guys should get this book, check it out, and I'll see you all later.